Keep walking. Keep walking. Keep walking. Now turn around. Put your hands behind your back.
Alicia Andrews, the girl who got locked up for Julio's murder, just turned this whole case into a movie. Word on the street is she didn't just talk, she sang. I'm talking about giving detectives the full play-by-play, who paid for the hit, how much money moved, and even dropping names that might connect the entire setup straight to Yungeen Ace himself. Now she's realizing the biggest mistake of her life, because every single word she said is coming back to bury her in court. See, everybody thought this was just another case of a young girl caught up in street politics, right? Nah, this runs way deeper. According to people close to the investigation, Alicia's been singing like a canary inside that interrogation room.
See them carrying a bag large enough to what? Carry 2 AK-style rifles.
Spilling info that's about to flip the Jacksonville scene upside down. Sources say there are recorded statements, wire transfers, text messages, and even phone calls tying this murder directly to one of the city's biggest rap stars. But here's where it gets wild. The more she talks, the more it looks like she might be lying to save her own skin. Some detectives believe she's mixing.
So we got to the hotel, went in, the rooms was already reserved, but I guess they had like a glitch in the system or something, so they ain't let us get the room. So then he came back out to the car and we was just chilling.
Truth with fiction, trying to spin the story to get a lighter sentence. And the crazy part? The deeper they dig, the more twisted this whole situation becomes. So let's break this down, because what's happening behind closed doors is more explosive than anything you've seen on social media. This isn't just about jealousy or street beef. It's about power, money, and the hidden structure that controls Jacksonville's rap and street empire. To really understand what's going on, you gotta look past the surface drama. Everybody's been focused on the war between ATK and 6 Block, thinking that's where the story ends. But nah, the real game is being played at a higher level. The money, the moves, the manipulation. It's all tied to a power structure built to control everything from the music to the murders. What started as a local beef just turned into a federal chess match. And Alicia Andrews? She might have just exposed the hand that everyone's been trying to hide. Yungeen Ace ain't just another rapper from the trenches anymore. He's a full-blown power player. This man's sitting on major label deals, publishing money, touring bags, and silent business investments that got him living in a whole different tax bracket. We're talking about someone who's got the kind of money and connections to make anything happen, without ever getting his own hands dirty. But here's what most people don't understand about Ace. He's not reckless. He's strategic. This man been through hell and back, lost homies to street wars, fought through indictments, and learned how to move in silence. He's the kind of dude who studies the game like a chessboard. So the idea that he'd directly order a hit and leave a trail of evidence? That don't line up with his history. And that's exactly what got everyone scratching their heads. According to what Alicia Andrews allegedly told police, Ace didn't personally order anything. He supposedly funded it. She claimed he put money on the table, a bounty, letting it be known that whoever handled the Foolio problem would get paid big time. Now, that's a whole different level of street power. It's quiet, it's dangerous, and it's damn near impossible to prove in court. And here's where her story turns from wild to downright unbelievable. Andrews allegedly told investigators that a bounty system existed inside the Jacksonville rap beef.
Driver, open the car door. Let me see your hands. Back up to the sound of my voice. Stop right there. Lift your shirt up. Turn. Do a 360.
While in custody, Sean tried to make a run for it in the most hilarious way, according to police records.
Like some underground marketplace for revenge. According to her, Ace allegedly put up $50,000 for anyone who could take Foolio out. But he did it through a chain of middlemen, so his name never appeared anywhere. The money, she said, was held by trusted associates, waiting to be released once the hit was confirmed done. That's the kind of setup that screams organized and untouchable. But here's the twist. This is also where her story starts falling apart fast. Her timelines don't match. Her details keep shifting, and the people she's naming, some of them don't even line up with verified movements or phone pings from that night. Detectives are starting to wonder, did she really know the inner circle? Or is she mixing fantasy with fact to save her own neck? Because if even half of what she's saying is true, this isn't just Jacksonville street beef anymore. This is a calculated hit, backed by money, power, and silence. Alicia Andrews claimed she was promised $10,000 for her part in the operation, but the bag never came. She told investigators that she was supposed to get paid once things cooled down. But when the heat came knocking and she got locked up, nobody came to help with bail, no lawyers, no protection, nothing. That's when everything flipped. Because once the money stops flowing and that cell door slams shut, that's when people start remembering everything. Classic snitch behavior, fam. When you realize you're facing life behind bars alone, the street code suddenly starts to look a lot less appealing. But here's the big question. Is she telling the truth, or is she spinning a story to save her own skin? Because what came next took this case from local drama to straight-up federal-level chaos. According to inside sources close to the investigation, the FBI and Tampa PD got hours of interrogation tapes where Andrews breaks the whole operation down, start to finish, like she's narrating a crime documentary. And if even half of what she said is real, this case is about to blow the roof off. Andrews allegedly told investigators that the hit wasn't some random street ambush. It was planned weeks ahead. She said there were multiple people involved, handling everything from surveillance to logistics to execution. According to her, her boyfriend at the time, Isaiah Chance, was the main coordinator, the one moving the pieces. But he wasn't the boss. She said he was taking orders straight from higher-ups within the ATK organization.
Isaiah Chance, this is the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office on your front driveway. We have a warrant for your arrest. Come up to your front door with nothing in your hand.
All right, go to your knees. Put your hands behind your back.
Now, this is where her story starts sounding cinematic. She claimed the crew waited for the perfect moment to catch Foolio off guard, preferably outside of Jacksonville, where his team wasn't watching as heavy. When they found out about his birthday trip to Tampa, that's when the trap was set! According to Andrews, everything, from car rentals to burner phones, was organized like a military mission. But the most explosive part of her alleged confession? She said she had recordings, actual phone calls and text messages, that prove Ace's involvement in financing the hit. If those recordings are real and verified, that's not just bad, that's career-ending and freedom-ending at the same time. Because once the FBI got wind of that, they shifted gears immediately. This wasn't just about a murder anymore. It was about money flow, power, and organized crime.
I'm finding that there is a substantial probability that all three defendants committed the dangerous crimes that they are charged with.
See, the feds don't just chase bullets, they chase bank accounts. According to Andrews' statements, Ace allegedly used funds from his legitimate music income to help fund the hit. And if that's true, that means we're talking about money laundering and racketeering, both federal-level crimes. That's when the FBI started pulling financial records, tracing cash wires, and hunting for proof that Ace's music money got mixed with street activity. And under RICO laws, if they can connect the dots, if they can show that legitimate earnings were used to finance violent crimes, they can freeze bank accounts, seize cars, houses, jewelry, everything.
So Yungeen Ace has long been known in Jacksonville. We are consistently monitoring those groups. We have people that are always watching them. We don't have an investigation on him right now, but he can't move around in Jacksonville without us knowing about it.
We're talking total wipeout. So now, this isn't just Jacksonville street beef. It's turned into a federal manhunt for truth. And Alicia Andrews, whether she's lying or not, just became the centerpiece in one of the biggest cases the Florida rap scene has ever seen. According to the reports, the money trail behind this hit wasn't just some sloppy cash handoff in a parking lot.
I may do it so long.
Okay, it was a long time. Because as soon as I seen that shit, I'm like...
It's all about capitalizing off the moments. So it's like, I had already shot that video like a week or two before.
Nah, this was criminal strategy on another level. The funds moved through a tangled web of cash drops, crypto wallets, wire transfers, and shell business accounts designed to disguise where the money came from and what it was really for. This wasn't the work of amateurs. Whoever set this up knew exactly how to move money like a ghost. Quiet, layered, and nearly impossible to trace. That's when the FBI brought in the big guns, financial crime experts who specialize in following the invisible paper trail. And what they allegedly uncovered was insane. According to internal reports, they found a series of payments that perfectly lined up with major escalations in the Jacksonville war. Every time a 6-block affiliate got hit, there were matching money movements in accounts connected to ATK associates. Transfers, deposits, crypto flips, it was all there like breadcrumbs leading straight into something much bigger. But here's where it gets complicated. In court, connecting those dots is a nightmare. Prosecutors can't just say, look, money moved, and call it proof. Defense attorneys are already preparing to argue that those payments were totally legitimate. Business expenses, personal loans, even studio budgets. Because let's be real.
What you think about Foolio dying, cuz? That shit sad. Twin, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Y'all boys in the street, y'all didn't leave the streets alone, twin. All condone and shit like that. It's so funny, cause me, bro, like, we cool, like, we was cool and shit. I was just, so funny, I was just talking to them, I'm like, bro, you gotta stay out the way, bro. You know, nigga love you out here, like, stay out the way, real shit. Like, you know, I fuck with your real shit, stay out the way.
Ace got a whole empire of music production, touring, and promotion money flowing at once. It it's almost impossible to tell what's clean and what's dirty unless you can prove intent. Still, the feds weren't backing off. They started thinking bigger. And that's where the RICO angle came in. This wasn't just one hit, one beef, or one bad decision. What Alicia Andrews allegedly described to investigators sounded like a criminal enterprise, built like a business with Ace sitting quietly at the top. She didn't just name shooters or middlemen. She painted a picture of an entire organization, running both legit and illegal money through the same machine. According to her statements, ATK operated with structure. There were tiers of power, managers handling the music side, lieutenants coordinating the street side, and trusted accountants in between keeping the money flowing and clean. Everyone had a role, everyone had a purpose. It wasn't chaos, it was coordination. And that right there is exactly what the RICO Act was built for. To take down ongoing criminal operations that use legal fronts to wash their dirty dealings. If the feds can prove Ace sat at the top of that pyramid, using his fame and business network to quietly fund street violence, they can hit him with federal racketeering charges that carry decades behind bars. But the biggest question still hangs in the air. Can Alicia Andrews really be trusted? She was just a girlfriend caught up in the storm. Someone who might have been used and discarded once things got too hot. Her word might have started the fire, but if she's lying or twisting details to get a lighter deal, the entire case could crumble. So now the stage is set for one of the most intense RICO battles Florida's ever seen. A deadly mix of money, power, betrayal, and music. And if the feds are right about what's going on behind those ATK connections, this won't just take down one man. It could shake the whole Jacksonville scene to its core. Now here's the million-dollar question. How would Alicia Andrews even know the inner workings of an organized street empire like ATK? How would she know the financial flows, the hierarchy, the players? That's what's got everyone scratching their heads. Either she's straight up fabricating details to make her story sound more valuable to the feds, or she was way deeper in this operation than she ever let on. Because the kind of information she allegedly gave up, that's not street gossip. That's insider-level knowledge, the type that can get people buried behind bars for life. Let's break it down piece by piece, because if even a fraction of what she told the police checks out, a whole lot of lives are about to crumble. First, Andrews allegedly handed over recordings of phone calls between her ex-boyfriend Isaiah Chance and higher-ups in ATK.
We done DM each other before.
What y'all DM each other?
Just be like, hey, bro, you good?
Oh, yeah, so check them on each other.
Oh, shit, I don't think he did.
What you mean you don't think he did?
Shit, he still commenting and posting. Shit, I don't think he did or not.
He commented and posted something to you, but I think it's somebody running his account.
It could be him. No, they do voodoo and shit. Oh, he probably still here. That motherfucker might pop through the door right now.
Discussing Julio's situation and the bounty placed on his head. These weren't vague conversations either. She claimed the recordings had names, amounts, and specific instructions. If verified, that's conspiracy gold for prosecutors. Second,
Foolio from Jacksonville, someone that you know, he lost his life.
She supposedly gave the feds bank account details and transaction receipts showing payments that she said were tied to the hit.
Where were you when you found out about that?
I was in the bed crying and shit like, damn, he's out of here. It's crazy.
You shed a tear.
It's like, damn, life's so short. It's like...
Now, these weren't direct payouts to the shooters. That would be too obvious. According to her, the money passed through intermediaries, funneled quietly through business fronts and friends of ATK members who distributed the cash once the job was done. The paper trail might look clean on the surface, but the timing of those payments matches the night of the murder too perfectly to ignore. Third, Andrews allegedly provided names, dates, and exact meeting spots where she claimed the hit was planned and coordinated. She even said she was physically present at some of those meetings, meaning she could be considered a direct witness in a conspiracy case. If her presence is backed up by surveillance footage, cell tower data, or text timestamps, that's not just testimony. It's a federal nightmare for everyone involved. But here's where things go from shocking to chilling. Andrews allegedly didn't stop with just Julio's case. She supposedly told investigators about other unsolved murders and drive-bys that she claimed were part of the same bounty system. Hits traded like currency across Jacksonville's rap scene. If she's telling the truth, this could blow open years of unsolved street violence that cops never managed to connect, until now. And the wildest part? She didn't just drop names and payments, she dropped digital evidence. The feds call it social media breadcrumbs, and apparently, Andrews helped them decode it all. She allegedly told investigators that posts, lyrics, emojis, and comments weren't random flexes. They were coded communications between people tied to ATK's street operations. She explained that when Ace posted certain lyrics or referenced certain words in songs, he wasn't just rapping, he was sending messages. Messages that only insiders could understand. Andrews claimed she knew the code because Isaiah had taught it to her. Each phrase, each symbol, each lyric had meaning. Even some unrelated emoji combinations, she said, were low-key signals for moves, warnings, or green lights on rivals. She also reportedly revealed how ATK allegedly used social media to coordinate movements, share info, and even issue threats, all hidden in plain sight. Imagine an entire criminal network running through Instagram posts, DMs, and song lyrics, all while the world thought it was just rap beef for clout.
People feel like I'm behind a lot, but I'm not. I'm not behind. I'm working. I'm grinding every day. I'm grinding. I got a family. I'm working. I tell my dogs, stay away from all them hoes. Yeah, drop your low. And don't think nobody set you up. I know for a fact somebody set you up.
If her statements hold weight, the feds now have not just witness testimony, but digital translation keys to decode years of online communication between rival crews. And that right there is what makes Alicia Andrews the most dangerous person in this entire investigation. Because she's not just talking, she's proving! Whether she's lying or not, one thing's clear. Her words have already turned Jacksonville's rap world upside down, and the fallout is only just beginning. This kind of digital evidence is a prosecutor's dream. It leaves behind a paper trail that's hard to erase and even harder to deny. Screenshots, timestamps, and coded captions can be pieced together to show intent, coordination, and motive. But here's the issue. It's also one of the most controversial tools in modern trials. Defense attorneys love to tear it apart, arguing that rap lyrics and social media posts are nothing more than artistic expression or everyday online flexing, not proof of criminal conspiracy. And in a courtroom, that argument hits hard. Because proving that a bar from a song or an emoji in a post is actually a threat or a command, that's walking a legal tightrope. Still, prosecutors believe the combination of digital evidence and financial activity is where the real story lies. And according to Alicia Andrews' alleged statements, the most damaging piece of the puzzle comes from a web of electronic transactions that she personally helped investigators follow. She claimed that Ace used a chain of business fronts, associates, and shell accounts to quietly move money for street-level operations, while keeping his own hands clean and reputation untouchable. Here's how the alleged system worked. According to Andrews, Ace would send legitimate payments to people in his circle for things that looked totally normal: music production, video shoots, promotional campaigns, or consulting. Those same people would then take portions of that money and redirect it toward underground activity. Everything from supplying weapons to paying off the bounties for hits on rival crews. It was a clean on paper, dirty in practice setup. No cash handoffs, no obvious transactions, just bank transfers that looked like everyday business. And Andrews didn't just talk about it. She allegedly gave the feds account numbers, names, and exact dates of suspicious payments that lined up with major street incidents. If her info checks out, and the FBI can verify that trail, that's the kind of evidence that brings entire organizations crashing down. Under RICO, financial coordination tied to violent acts is enough to label it a criminal enterprise. And once you prove that connection, everyone involved from top to bottom becomes part of the same case. But here's where things get muddy. How could a young woman with no deep criminal background possibly know the inner workings of a money laundering network this complex? Either she's way more involved than anyone ever realized, or she's spinning a web of sophisticated lies to make herself look valuable to the investigators. Some detectives reportedly believe she's talking smart, using big words and ideas she overheard from Isaiah or others, trying to sound like an insider while really piecing together fragments of gossip. Others think she might have been closer to the planning than she's letting on. And then came the part of her alleged confession that sent chills down everyone's spine: the coordination meetings. Andrews claims she was physically present during multiple sessions where the Foolio hit was planned and executed step by step. She described how these gatherings were disguised as casual social events, studio sessions, late-night restaurant hangouts, and house kickbacks, so nobody would suspect a thing. According to her, Isaiah Chance often brought her along to make it look like nothing shady was going down, even though behind those smiles and casual vibes, plans were being made about routes, timing, vehicles, and payment drops. If Andrews' timeline matches surveillance footage or phone pings from those nights, prosecutors could have one of the strongest witness testimonies in the entire case. But if she's lying, then she's pulling one of the most dangerous moves in legal history, accusing a high-profile rap figure of orchestrating murder and money laundering, with nothing to back it up but her word. And if the feds find even a single hole in her story, everything could flip on her fast. So now the big question remains: is Alicia Andrews the key to unraveling Jacksonville's deadliest secrets, or the biggest manipulator the city's ever seen? Alicia Andrews didn't just drop vague hints. She allegedly laid out specific details about those secret meetings that supposedly went down before Julio's murder. She told investigators exactly who was in the room, what was discussed, and even who gave the final green light to move on the Tampa hit. According to her, that crucial decision was made just days before Julio's birthday, when everyone believed he'd be most vulnerable and off guard. But here's what doesn't line up. If these were high-level criminal meetings involving people with serious money and serious risk on the line, why would they bring a random girlfriend with zero criminal experience? That's what has detectives and street insiders side-eyeing her entire story. Either Andrews is flat-out lying about being present in those rooms to make herself sound important, or the people involved were some of the sloppiest operators in the game, breaking every rule of street survival by letting outsiders in on conversations that could get everyone killed. Then there's the money trail, the part that supposedly ties everything together. Andrews allegedly gave investigators a step-by-step breakdown of how the payment structure for the Foolio hit was set up. According to her version, Ace never handed cash directly to the shooters. Instead, the money moved through a carefully layered system meant to keep him clean and disconnected from the dirt. Here's how she described it. Ace allegedly fronted the main amount to a group of trusted lieutenants, guys who handled both music and street money. Those lieutenants then distributed smaller amounts to coordinators like Isaiah Chance, who managed logistics and picked the actual shooters. Each level of the operation took a cut for handling business, which meant by the time the money reached the people who actually pulled the trigger, it was chopped down to scraps compared to the original bounty. According to Andrews, she herself was promised $10,000 for playing her part, mostly as a messenger and lookout. She claimed Isaiah was supposed to pocket $25,000 for organizing the operation, while the shooters were each offered $15,000, plus a bonus, if they could make the hit look like a robbery gone wrong. But that's where her story starts falling apart again, because the math doesn't add up. If Ace really put up $50,000, those numbers don't make sense. Somebody's lying, or there were extra funding sources that Andrews didn't know about. Either way, it's a red flag. Was she fed partial info? Was she exaggerating to look useful? Or did someone else pump more money into the job from behind the scenes? The inconsistencies in her numbers are exactly what defense attorneys will pounce on when this case hits court. Now, as for why she's suddenly talking, it all comes down to survival. Andrews is facing life in prison without parole if convicted of first-degree murder. And in Florida, that's not a threat, it's a promise. Her only ticket out is cooperation. By giving up bigger names, she can hope for a reduced sentence, or at least protection from spending the rest of her life behind bars. That's why prosecutors call it substantial assistance, snitching that actually moves a case forward. But here's where it gets really messy. Sources close to the investigation claim her so-called cooperation might not be entirely voluntary. Word is, the investigators played hardball, using psychological pressure tactics during interrogation to break her down. They allegedly told her what life in prison would look like, hinted at possible retaliation if she stayed silent, and dangled the promise of a witness protection deal if she gave them something useful. Some insiders believe she's talking out of fear, not guilt. Because once you're inside that cold interrogation room, alone, exhausted, and staring down a possible life sentence, you'll say just about anything to make the pressure stop. And that's exactly what makes her testimony both powerful and dangerous. So now the big question remains. Is Alicia Andrews the key witness who will help the feds bring down one of Jacksonville's most feared rap figures? Or is she just another scared girl who got caught in a game way bigger than herself, saying whatever it takes to save her own skin? Either way, one thing's certain. Her words have already set off a storm that's too big to contain. The truth, or her version of it, is now in the system, and the fallout could change the course of Jacksonville's rap scene forever. According to sources close to the case, investigators didn't just pressure Alicia Andrews, they allegedly played mind games to break her down. Word is, they told her that her co-defendants were already in separate rooms, cooperating, and pinning the entire operation on her. That kind of psychological warfare is meant to trigger panic, to make a suspect start talking before they even realize what they're giving up. But here's the catch. Those kinds of tactics can backfire big time. If her lawyers can prove that her confession came from coercion, deception, or manipulation, every word she said could get tossed right out of court. In legal terms, her statements could be ruled inadmissible, meaning the entire case the feds built around her words might crumble overnight. And that's exactly where her credibility starts cracking under pressure. Because once you look deeper into her story, it's filled with red flags. First, Alicia's detailed knowledge of complex criminal operations doesn't line up with her background. She's not a street veteran, not a known player in organized circles. So how would she have such insider-level understanding of money movement, logistics, and power structures that even detectives didn't know about? Either she's way more involved than she's pretending, or she's spinning stories to look valuable to prosecutors desperate for leads. Second, the timeline she's painted doesn't always match the evidence. She told investigators she was present at certain planning meetings, but cell tower data and phone records allegedly show she was in completely different locations during those same hours. Those inconsistencies destroy a witness's credibility faster than anything, especially in a RICO case where every timestamp matters. Third, her motive to lie couldn't be clearer. She's facing life without parole, and the only lifeline she's got is cooperation. When you're staring down decades behind bars, it's not uncommon to start pointing fingers, especially at big names prosecutors want to bring down. And that's exactly what makes her testimony dangerous. She might not be lying about everything, but it's almost certain she's twisting parts of the story to protect herself and bargain for a lighter sentence. Any good defense team is going to rip her apart on the stand. They'll point out that she's changed her story multiple times, that her motivations are obvious, and that she has zero independent evidence backing her claims. They'll make her look like an unreliable opportunist trying to trade lies for leniency. And juries eat that alive. Now let's look at the Ace angle, because when you really analyze it, the whole thing starts sounding shaky. First off, Ace has been incredibly cautious since his early run-ins with the law. He's learned how to separate the music from the madness, building a multi-million-dollar career that depends on staying clean. Why would he throw all that away to get involved in something this reckless? Second, the timeline doesn't fit. During the period Andrews claims this murder plot was being planned, Ace was allegedly booked solid. Studio sessions, label meetings, tours. His focus was music and business, not the streets. Jumping back into a high-profile beef that could bring the feds to his doorstep? That's career suicide, and Ace is too smart for that. Third, there's the motive, or lack of one. Foolio's buzz was fading, while Ace's career was climbing fast. Ace was already winning the rivalry publicly and musically. From a business standpoint, Foolio was no longer a threat. He was a fading headline. Why risk everything on a hit when success was already taking care of the problem? The more realistic possibility? Low-level ATK members or street affiliates might have taken matters into their own hands, hoping to earn stripes or get recognition from Ace's camp. That happens all the time in the street world. People act out thinking they're doing a favor for the boss, when in reality, the boss didn't sanction anything. So why would Andrews still point the finger at Ace? Because she knows that's exactly what the prosecutors want to hear. They want the headline name, the face of the empire, the rap star gone criminal story that sells the case. And she's smart enough to know that the higher the name she gives them, the better her chances of walking out with a deal instead of a death sentence. That brings us to the federal strategy. What's really driving this entire investigation? The feds aren't just chasing one murder. They're going after the whole system. Their plan is simple but ruthless. Flip the pyramid. They start from the bottom. Small players, girlfriends, drivers, anyone they can scare into talking. Then they use those statements to climb the ladder, piece by piece, until they can connect everything to the top of the organization. It's a method straight out of the FBI playbook. And if they succeed, Ace doesn't even need to pull a trigger to get hit with major charges. Just being the financial backer, the leader, or the person providing direction could be enough to put him away under RICO. So now, this case isn't just about a single murder in Tampa. It's a full-scale federal operation aimed at dismantling the entire Jacksonville street network. And Alicia Andrews, whether she's lying or not, just handed them the map they've been waiting for. The question is, will the feds prove she's telling the truth? Or will the cracks in her story expose this whole thing as one massive setup that spiraled out of control? Either way, the courtroom showdown that's coming next is about to change everything. The feds' strategy is clear. They're trying to dismantle what they believe is a full-blown criminal enterprise. By flipping smaller players like Alicia Andrews and climbing their way up the pyramid, they hope to reach the ones pulling the strings, the alleged financiers, the coordinators, and ultimately, the faces of the operation. It's the same blueprint they use to crush the mafia, drug cartels, and major organized crime families. Start from the bottom, apply pressure, and let fear do the talking. But here's the problem with that playbook. It only works if the people at the bottom actually know the truth. If Andrews is fabricating stories about Ace's involvement just to look useful, then the whole pyramid crumbles. Innocent people get pulled into a mess they had nothing to do with, all because the government was too eager to believe a desperate witness with everything to gain and nothing to lose. That's where Ace's legal team comes in. They're locked, loaded, and ready for war. Their plan? Destroy the snitch! From day one, Ace's lawyers have been preparing to shred Andrews' credibility piece by piece. If she dares to take the stand, they're gonna paint her as exactly what she looks like. A woman staring down life in prison who will say anything to save herself. They'll point out that she initially denied any knowledge of the murder, then suddenly started remembering more details only after prosecutors dangled lighter sentencing and witness protection in front of her. That's what defense lawyers call an evolving narrative, and it screams unreliable witness. Every time the story changes, the truth slips further away, and it doesn't stop there. Ace's team plans to demand every shred of proof that Andrews claims to have provided. The recordings, the financial documents, the text messages, the transaction logs. If those materials don't exist, or if they fail to support her claims, her credibility will collapse faster than the feds can recover. No jury is going to buy a story that's all words and no receipts. But there's a bigger, uglier picture here that can't be ignored. This isn't just about one rapper or one murder. It's about a pattern, a system. The federal machine has a long history of targeting successful black men in hip-hop and business, using unproven accusations to strip away their power, reputation, and independence. Let's be real. Ace isn't some overnight rapper who lucked into fame. He built his success from the ground up. He buried friends, lost family, fought his way through trauma, and turned street pain into art and business. He turned chaos into currency and inspired a generation to believe they could make it out too. But instead of celebrating that growth, the system seems determined to drag him back into the mud. They've done it before, time and time again. Find someone desperate enough to tell a story, feed them promises of protection, and then use that unverified narrative to justify going after a successful figurehead. It's the same cycle, the same script. They don't have solid proof, so they weaponize desperation. Even if Ace is 100% innocent, the damage is already done. Allegations like this don't need to be proven to ruin you. They just need to exist. They poison public opinion, scare off business partners, and stain your name forever. That's the real power of the federal system. They don't need a conviction to destroy your life. Just a headline, a leak, or a whisper. And for a public figure like Ace, perception is everything. So here's the harsh reality. This might not even be about justice. It might be about control. Bringing down a young, successful, independent black entrepreneur with a global platform sends a message. No matter how far you climb, you're still within reach of the system. And that's what makes this story so tragic. Because when you strip away the gossip, the lies, and the legal games, you're left with one simple truth. Alicia Andrews is desperate. She's terrified, trapped, and trying to save herself by selling whatever story the prosecutors are willing to buy. Her allegations against Ace? Probably pure fabrication dressed up as insider intel. She's got no verified evidence, no consistent timeline, and no real motive beyond survival. The feds, on the other hand, are hungry for a win. They see Ace as the perfect trophy, a successful name they can hang on their wall and call it justice. But wanting something to be true doesn't make it true. When this case finally hits trial, that's when the lies will start to unravel. And make no mistake, the courtroom will be brutal. Andrews' story is riddled with contradictions, her motives are transparent, and the defense is ready to pounce on every inconsistency. Once those cross-examinations start, she'll crumble under her own contradictions. In the end, this case isn't about guilt or innocence. It's about truth versus desperation. And desperation? It's the loudest liar in the room. When the smoke clears, the truth will speak louder than any fabricated confession ever could. The question is, will anyone still be listening when it does? At this point, even if Alicia Andrews never takes the stand, the damage is already done. No reasonable jury is going to convict someone like Ace based solely on her shaky testimony, especially when her story keeps falling apart under pressure. But here's the truth that stings. He doesn't have to be convicted to lose everything. The allegations alone can stick like glue, haunting his name, his career, and his legacy long after the headlines fade. That's the real tragedy in all of this. The way the system can destroy a man's reputation without ever proving a single thing in court. And that's what people need to see. How the federal system weaponizes rumors to break down black success. They take one desperate person, feed them promises, and use their words to justify dragging a self-made artist back into the mud. It's the same play we've seen for decades. Set up the fall of a rising black businessman, paint him as a criminal mastermind, and call it justice. But really, it's control. It's erasing power built from struggle. Ace might walk free legally, but the stain of this story could follow him forever. Labels could hesitate, sponsors could back off, partnerships could dissolve, and all of that happens without a single charge sticking. That's how powerful false narratives are. They don't need evidence, they just need oxygen. Now let's talk about the real victims in this entire storm. Because when you strip away the headlines, hashtags, and legal theatrics, it's not just Foolio and his grieving family who've been hurt. It's also every innocent person whose name got dragged through the mud because of lies, speculation, and a system that rewards betrayal over truth. Andrews isn't speaking out of conscience. She's fighting for her own survival. She's throwing names, twisting facts, and selling stories because that's her only ticket out. Meanwhile, the feds are sitting back and letting it happen, happy to amplify her words because it makes them look like heroes taking down another dangerous rapper. But what they're really doing is tearing apart lives for clout and career advancement. This case exposes the dark side of the justice system, the side that doesn't care about truth, only about wins. It shows how prosecutors use fear as a weapon, how they turn scared people into pawns, and how they manipulate the public into cheering for the destruction of someone they don't even know. And the worst part? It proves how easy it is to destroy a black man who made it out. All it takes is one false witness, one viral rumor, one headline, then the system does the rest. They don't need proof. They just need someone desperate enough to talk and a public willing to believe. So, while the media spins its narratives, and the internet plays detective, the truth sits quietly in the corner, waiting for someone to notice. Because this isn't just about Ace. This is about how the system hunts success, especially black success, and calls it justice. Pay attention, fam. Because what's happening to Ace could happen to any successful person who made it out the trenches. The system doesn't just want to punish, they want to remind you that no matter how high you climb, they can still pull you down. And that's the cold reality, fam. The feds will always find someone desperate enough to say anything if it means saving themselves. They'll take that one voice, twist it into evidence, and use it as a weapon to tear down everything a person spent years building. And right now, that's exactly what's happening with Alicia Andrews. She might think she's being smart, that by snitching she's securing her freedom. But what she's really doing is signing her own downfall. Because once the dust settles, the feds won't protect her, the streets won't respect her, and the public won't believe her. She's burning every bridge around her while trying to climb out of the fire. In the end, she's not saving herself. She's destroying what's left of her credibility and helping the system railroad innocent people in the process. And let's keep it real. When all this is over, Alicia's still facing serious time. Those federal charges don't disappear just because you talked. Cooperation might get you a few years shaved off, but it doesn't erase the crimes. So not only will she be sitting in a cell, she'll also have to live with the fact that she helped destroy lives. Lives that might have had nothing to do with what she's accusing them of. That's the sad part of all this. The desperation. People will do anything when they're scared of losing their freedom, even if it means taking others down with them. And that's exactly what the feds count on. They weaponize fear, they twist loyalty, and they turn people into pawns. Andrews might be their latest pawn, but trust. When the game's over, she's getting sacrificed too. So what do you think, fam? Do you believe Alicia Andrews is telling the truth about Ace? Or do you think she's fabricating this entire story to cut herself a deal? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because this case is far from done. The story's only getting deeper, and as the truth starts unraveling, there's going to be a lot of people with some serious explaining to do. The Balfour truth always finds its way out. And when it does, every lie, every false accusation, and every desperate move will get exposed for what it really was. So stay locked in, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping updates as this story keeps unfolding. Because one thing's for sure, the war for truth in Jacksonville is just getting started, and the fallout, it's gonna change everything.